Think about the last time you helped plan a massive barcata trip or a big family Noche Buena. If you had to pick your exact role from this lineup, which one are you? Are you the master planner, the cook, the financier, the hype man, or the designated driver? Any functional group needs these highly specialized roles. If everyone is the driver and nobody cooks, the trip falls apart. But have you ever been on one of those big group trips where every single job was done perfectly, yet by Sunday afternoon, everyone wanted to strangle each other? The breakdown usually isn't about competence. The itinerary was flawless, but the planner was a control freak. The food was great, but the cook complained the entire time. The execution was there, but the personalities were toxic. This exact dynamic happens in the church. We consistently mix up our specific capacities for service, our spiritual gifts, with our actual emotional and spiritual maturity, the fruit of the Spirit. And confusing the two is a recipe for chaos. To see exactly how that chaos plays out, we have to look at the first century church in Corinth. This was a community steeped in a toxic flex culture. Most of the believers there had converted from pagan religions, and they carried the competitive, status-obsessed habits of their past straight into their new faith. In the local pagan temples, dramatic displays of vocal frenzy, trances, and ecstatic experiences were treated as absolute proof that you were touched by the divine. The louder you were, the closer to the gods you must be. When these converts received genuine gifts of the Spirit, they used them for clout. They treated their weekly gatherings like a chaotic talent show, shouting over each other to prove who was the most spiritual. The Corinthians made a fatal error. They assumed that possessing a flashy, spectacular talent meant they were spiritually mature. To fix this incredibly messy environment, the Apostle Paul wrote a strict diagnostic framework to separate what people do from who they actually are. First, he defines spiritual gifts. These are specific capacities for ministry, the external actions of service we perform for the community. These abilities are individually distributed. No single person receives all of them. And because they are just tools, they carry a massive risk. A spiritual gift can easily be weaponized to feed human pride, just like it was in Corinth. On the other side of the matrix, we have the fruit of the Spirit. This deals entirely with a person's internal attitude and the lifelong development of Christlike character. While gifts are divided up, every single believer is commanded to manifest all the fruits, like love, joy, and peace, all the time. And unlike a talent, genuine holy character can never be misused. Understanding this distinction eliminates a very popular modern excuse. Today, it's common to hear people use a lack of a specific gift as a shield for toxic behavior, claiming they are just protecting their peace or being authentic. It is entirely biblically acceptable to say, teaching is not my gift, but a Christian can never excuse cruelty or impatience by claiming love is just not my gift. This brings us to 1 Corinthians 13. We usually hear this passage read as a soft, romantic poem at weddings, but historically, Paul dropped this text directly into the middle of an ugly, shouting church fight. He wrote it to warn the Corinthians that prophesying or speaking in foreign languages without love is entirely profitless. When Paul called them noisy gongs and clanging cymbals, it was a sharp, calculated insult. He was directly comparing their proud Christian worship to the hollow, banging instruments used in the pagan temples down the street. Possessing a spectacular spiritual gift without doing the quiet work of building spiritual character is nothing more than pagan noise. A highly visible talent on a stage is never proof of spiritual maturity. True maturity is defined by action. In Paul's letter, love isn't a feeling. It is built on 15 active verbs, specific choices we practice every day, especially toward people who are incredibly difficult to deal with. So back to the big group trip. We all have a highly specific, vital role to play in the kingdom of God, and you need to figure out what yours is. But the journey only matters if we actually have the grace and patience to travel together. If you want to find out exactly what your specific capacities for service are, check out the Spiritual Gifts Assessment in the PDF linked below. Discover your role. Just make sure you bring your character along for the ride.